What's up, everybody? Justin here to do a new edition of the Countdown, my Countdown series of videos. Check them out in my playlist of all my Countdown videos. I got top 5s, top 10s, a lot of top 5s, but check out my playlist of my Countdown videos. This is a new Countdown. This is the Countdown, my top 10 wrestlers that I have hated and I think have had zero talent. This is a top 10. I don't like really to use the word hated, but I'm going to use it anyways. Top 10 wrestlers I thought basically had zero talent, had no business being in the ring, and pretty much I just thought they sucked really badly. So here we go. My number 10 is Buff Bagwell. Buff Daddy Bagwell. Buff was not the stuff. In my opinion, Buff sucked. I never liked him, ever. Never was a fan of Buff. He was not the stuff. I didn't think he had any talent. His greatest talent was his body. The guy had a great body. In my opinion, he didn't look like a wrestler. Couldn't really wrestle any good. Wasn't any good in the ring. And the fans really didn't care about the guy. Except for a couple women that would cheer him. That were probably single. So, Buff Bagwell is my number 10. That I thought had zero talent. And I hated. My number 9. I don't hate this guy that much, but he really had zero talent as a wrestler. My number 9 is Elegante and Giant Gonzalez. He was just awful in the ring. He was really bad, really awful. And it wasn't really his fault that he was that bad, because the guy was like 7'7" and he couldn't even move. He couldn't really do anything any good. He couldn't talk. He barely knew English. And that's not his fault either, but he barely knew English, so he couldn't do interviews. When he came to WWF, at least they treated Giant Gonzalez, Elegante, they treated him a little bit better because they got him a manager to talk for him. And I guess he had one okay match with The Undertaker at SummerSlam 93. But my number 9 is Giant Gonzalez. I thought he had zero talent, and I thought he sucked. My number 8 is Sheamus. I'm not going to say he has zero talent, but I hate Sheamus. I never liked him, never will. My number 7 is Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Never liked the guy. I will say, I don't think he had much talent at all. He had barely any talent. He was not a good wrestler. And he had no talent. I just never cared for Brutus Beefcake. Never cared for the guy. Never liked him. He's had about 100 different gimmicks, and they've all been awful. I mean, his best gimmick, sadly, was probably the barber gimmick. His other gimmicks were god-awful. God-awful. His other gimmicks were absolute shit. They sucked. Zodiac sucked. The Booty Man, that really sucked. I don't know what the fuck the Booty Man was supposed to be, but it sucked. And these are all in WCW, by the way. And that's not a knock at WCW. I don't know. I don't know who came up with his gimmicks in WCW. He probably did because he's an idiot. Zodiac sucked. Booty Man sucked. The Butcher sucked. The Man with No Name sucked. I believe that's what he called himself once. And then he went to become the disciple in the NWO, and that sucked. So he's had about 500 different gimmicks and different names and different characters, and they all have sucked. Why do you think Brutus Beefcake never held a title in WWF or WCW? Never held a title, ever. Because he sucked. That's why. So Brutus Beefcake is my number 7 that I hated, and I thought he had zero talent. I don't wish any of these guys, I don't wish them to be dead. I just really, really dislike them. Sadly, John Gonzalez, sadly, is dead. So, that's sad. Okay, my number 6 that I hated and really disliked with zero talent. Bram from TNA Wrestling. Bram, I really dislike you. You're a scumbag because you beat your girlfriend. I don't know how long ago it was. I don't care how long ago it was. You beat a woman. You were arrested for it. And somehow, I believe you got the charges dropped. But I don't care. You're a woman beater. You're a scumbag. Bram is my number 6 that I hated. And Bram has some talent, but not much. Okay, my number 5. Now, down to the top 5 of this top 10 of wrestlers that I think had zero talent and I hated. My number 5, Lex Luger. Never liked the guy. Even as a kid, I did not like the guy. Was never a fan of the guy. When I was a kid, I was a fan of Sting, Hogan, Macho Man, Demolition, Road Warriors. Those were guys I was fans of as a kid. Was never a fan of Lex Luger. Never liked the guy. And the guy had zero talent. He had no wrestling ability. The only thing he was good at was power slamming, picking up guys over his head, slamming them. That's all he could do. And the other thing he could do that was okay was a power slam. Other than that, Lex Luger sucked balls. He sucked in the ring. He sucked on the microphone. And he was just awful with zero talent in the ring. And I don't hate Luger because of Miss Elizabeth dying in his home. Maybe I do hate him for that. Maybe that's part of it. But I just hate him because I think he sucked as a wrestler and he had zero talent. I'm glad Vince never gave Luger a WWF title run. Very happy that never happened. Sadly, he was world champion in WCW when he was a heel in 91, and then he won the title and held it for 1 week in 97. So Lex Luger, that's what I think of you. My number 4, Adam Rose. Never liked Adam Rose. When he came out with his dancing gimmick in NXT, it was kind of his theme music. It was a fun character. But I thought he had no talent. He had some talent. I'll say Adam Rose did have some talent, but not much. And Adam Rose is on this list. He's on this top 10 because he was arrested for domestic abuse. He was arrested when he threatened his wife, screamed at her, grabbed her by the face, yelled at her, wouldn't let her call the police. So that's why Adam Rose is on this list, because the guy almost abused his wife and a woman. And if I hear about that over the internet, if I hear about a wrestler abusing a woman or their wife or a girlfriend, that really pisses me off, and I don't stand for that shit. No guy should stand for domestic abuse. If I was out somewhere, if I went out somewhere and some guy was abusing his girlfriend or wife by yelling at her or like attacking her, I would step in and I would tell the guy to back off, quit it, and get the hell out of here before I kick his ass. And maybe the guy would kick my ass. If I stepped in, maybe I'd get my ass kicked. But maybe I wouldn't. I would at least, if the guy came at me, I would fight and try to kick his ass. If I'd get my ass kicked, oh well. At least I tried. But I do know how to fight a little bit. I can handle myself. I'm not afraid to fight. If I get in a fight, I'm not afraid I'm going to get my ass kicked. And if I get knocked out or lose a fight, then whatever, shit happens. So Adam Rose is my number 4, basically because he was arrested, and I believe he's in jail for a couple of days or weeks. He was in jail because he did domestic abuse, domestic violence. Adam Rose did it. You can look it up on the internet, and I believe his wife dropped the charges. I still don't care. The guy should have never, ever did domestic abuse against his own wife. That is totally out of line, and that still pisses me off. And I'm glad WWE fired Adam Rose because he was suspended for violating the wellness policy, and then when he was on suspension, he decided to do domestic abuse. What a stupid idiot. And I'm glad I'm glad they fired his ass. So Adam Rose is my number 4. And when he came to the main roster, his gimmick was awful. The fans didn't give a rat's ass. They didn't cheer him at all. They didn't care for him. And I don't blame Vince for not pushing Adam Rose on the main roster because the guy's character kind of sucked a lot. My number 3 is... who's my number? Yeah, my number 3 is Ryback. Ryback is my number 3. Never liked him. Never liked the steroid freak. He's jacked up. I'm sure he took steroids. And maybe he didn't, but he looks like he did. He's a jacked up steroid freak. He had no talent in the ring. He wasn't very good at all as a wrestler. Yes, I will admit he did get over for a short time with his Feed Me More gimmick. Some of the fans actually got behind him. I was not one of them. So, Ryback, you are a stupid, stupid man. For the views you have that you have put out online, you're a stupid man. And you had no talent in the ring. I never liked you. I just saw you as a steroid freak, roided out of your brains, and I'm sure all you wanted was feed me more, feed me more. You started that chant because you wanted to be fed more steroids, in my opinion. Hopefully, I don't care what you're doing, Ryback. Hopefully, you're getting your steroids and you're eating them every morning for breakfast. I don't care what you do. Please don't ever come back to WWE. In WWE, please don't ever rehire Ryback because he sucked. My number 2, most hated, that I thought had zero talent. I got to get a DVD and show you this guy's picture because he's a fat bastard that had no talent. So here it is. Here's the DVD of the guy's picture. My number 2 is a guy that was, his name in wrestling was Pogo the Clown. Pogo the Clown. That's P-O-G-O, Pogo the Clown. He's part of XPW. XPW Wrestling was basically a rip-off of ECW. They took a lot of old ECW guys, some younger guys, but they were basically a rip-off. And they did not even come close to doing it as good as ECW did it. So, Pogo the Clown, the guy's a fat bastard with no talent, no wrestling ability, and all he did on the microphone was scream and curse. Oh, that's all he could do is scream and curse. He was a fat bastard with no talent. My number 2 is this guy right here. See him? The fat bastard clown motherfucking ugly fuck. I mean, he's a scary looking bastard. He looks like a fucking child molester, but there he is. fat bastard Pogo the Clown. He's my number 2. I hated that bastard. I don't know where he is. I believe he's out of wrestling. Maybe he's on the indies somewhere. I don't care where he is. I hated that guy. Pogo the Clown is my number 2. He really, really, really had no talent. So, my number 1. I didn't really hate the guy personally, but I hated that he was in wrestling because he had no talent in the ring. He couldn't cut a promo. He couldn't talk for his life. If his life depended on it, he couldn't even cut a promo. He was no good. In the ring, he sucked. He didn't bother to ever work out and go to a gym. He never bothered to go to a gym. Never bothered to get a tan. Never bothered to do anything to further his career in wrestling. He looked like a guy off the street corner walking down the street saying, "Hey, you right there. Why don't you come to WCW and get in the ring?" Who am I talking about? My number 1 is David Flair. I love Ric Flair. Well, David Flair, I can't believe he was Ric Flair's son because he didn't have any of the talent. He didn't inherit any of the talent that his father had. His father, Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time, one of my favorites of all time. He's in my top 5 greatest of all time. Ric Flair, one of the best of all time. One of the greatest world champions. One of the greatest promo guys also. Ric Flair could carry a match, carry anybody in a match. He would wrestle job guys on TV and he would put them over. And they looked like they could beat Ric Flair. Ric Flair was that good that he made job guys look like they were damn good. But David Flair was not damn good. David Flair was awful. David Flair was worse than everybody on my top 10 list of guys with zero talent that I hated. All these guys are above David Flair for a reason. Because at least every guy other than Pogo the Clown, every guy on my list had some talent, some little tiny bit of ability in the ring. But David Flair did not. He was garbage. He was trash. He never, I've seen all his matches in WCW. He never, ever had a good match where after you would see a David Flair match, you would say to yourself, that was a damn good match. No, you would never say that to yourself because it never happened. So David Flair is my number 1 that I hated. I hated him as a wrestler, not as a person. As a wrestler, I hated him. I hated that WCW was putting him in the ring because the guy he didn't look like a wrestler. He looked like a nobody that was off the street. He didn't bother, as I said, didn't bother to work out, didn't bother to train, maybe did have a lot of wrestling training. I don't really know and I don't really care. If he did get trained by Paul Orndorff, Arn Anderson, and maybe by his father, well, he didn't pick up anything that they taught him. Anyways, I don't know why they ended up putting him on TV in 1999. He wasn't ready to be on TV. He didn't look like a wrestler. He had no ability. He couldn't talk. And then in 2000, they made him a tag team champion because that was a good idea, WCW. Make David Flair a tag team champion. His partner, Crowbar, that guy had some talent. That guy was pretty good in the ring. I believe his name's Devin Storm. Crowbar was pretty good. Daphne, as a manager, she had a lot of talent. She was great. She wasn't that great of a wrestler, but Daphne could wrestle. Later on in Shimmer and in TNA, Daphne did become a pretty good knockouts women's wrestler. But in WCW, Daphne, as a manager, she was great. So Daphne, Crowbar, I had no problem with them. My problem was David Flair. I hated him in the ring every time I would see him And every time I still see him on the WWE Network when I watch Nitros and I see David Flair, I still get angry. Because the guy shouldn't have been in the ring. Ever. He shouldn't have been in the ring. He should have never been pushed. And then he was pushed even more. In 2000, he was pushed even more when he turned on his father, Ric Flair, and then David Flair and Vince Russo got together, and I guess they became friends. I don't really care. But, and look, David Flair, he probably did try hard. He probably did try hard to be a good wrestler, but he sucked. Him trying wasn't enough. In my opinion, he sucked. So that's my top 10 wrestlers I hated that I believe had zero talent. That's my top 10. If you don't agree with it, make your own video. And, I don't know, make your own video of your top 10 wrestlers you hated. Don't agree with it, I don't care. It's my list. It's my video. It's my countdown show. Make your own countdown show. Comment on my video if you have any wrestlers that you think sucked. Leave a comment under this video. Tell me about the wrestlers that you thought sucked. If I didn't put them on the list and you think they sucked, tell me about it. Leave a comment under the video. Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye for now, everybody. This was the Countdown Top 10 Wrestlers I Hated and I thought had zero talent. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good Friday and weekend.